we've got Senator Roger Wicker. He's the ranking member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator Wicker, let me just test you. Are we hearing your sound, sir?
I'm hearing you fine.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's great. I appreciate it very much. Maybe we can turn the sound up here on the floor. We had some technical problems. Anyway, Senator, welcome back to the show. Thank you for doing this.
Look, glad to be here. I tell you what, I want to talk about what you just talked about. when you and I were helping Donald Trump cut taxes and cut regulations, we took the burden off of job creators and gave them more freedom. And you know what we did? We created a ton of more new jobs and brought a lot of money back to the United States. So before you ask about balloons, let me stand up and cheer your monologue. It was 100%.
Well, you're awful nice, sir. Actually, you're awful nice. I appreciate it. Now, you're the ranking Republican on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And
it's the Armed Services Committee. Later.
Armed Services, okay. Even better to some extent. Can you, is it possible to tell us what is going on here? We've got one balloon, 3 metallic aerial objects that may be balloons carrying payloads. All of a sudden, we've discovered this. We let the big balloon run through the country and probably radioing back to Beijing all manner of intel. I mean, Senator Wicker, what's your take on this? What's happening here? Why is this happening?
Well, what my take is that the first balloon was, in fact, the major issue still. It was, without question, a Chinese surveillance balloon. It was capable of being guided from a base. And basically, it went over the Pacific around the equator and then turned north deliberately to Alaska and traversed several of our states over some of our most sensitive bases. No doubt gathering information and sending it back to China. Every nuclear facility that we have in terms of our strategic capability was visited by this balloon. And it really is, it's not something for the administration to be proud about and be patting themselves on the back about, as they were in the briefing last week. This was a shame. It should have been shot down over Alaska or in the territorial waters before it got to Alaska. And so that's the major one. We don't know much about the others. As the ranking Republican, the top Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee, we have not received much information about these other objects. They just could be near space junk, for that matter. But it does point out that our NORAD capabilities need to include these types of things, as well as satellites and missiles and slower moving things at anything from 40,000 feet up to 80,000.
Senator Wicker, the thing I don't understand, so the Biden administration, Defense Department, did not want to shoot down the first balloon, which was an obvious balloon. I mean, we could all see it. People from the ground were looking up at it in Montana, for heaven's sakes. They didn't want to shoot it down. There's nobody in Montana to hit. I mean, I don't know why they let that thing drift. Sits over our nuclear anti-ballistic missile systems and then drifts through to the East Coast where they finally shoot it down. So they wouldn't touch that, Senator, but then now they're shooting everything up there. It just seems like these other things, sometimes with Canada, sometimes on our own, it looks a little trigger happy, but I don't understand this. What is it that we're shooting at? And why are we shooting if we don't know what they are? Somebody said today in the press briefing, it's ruled out aliens. It's not UFOs. It's not extraterrestrial. But we don't know if it's from China. We don't know if it's really what a metallic balloon is with a payload, et cetera, et cetera. You follow me? We're like trigger happy now. What's up with this?
I do follow you. Well, and part of it is we just don't know, and shouldn't that be of concern to us, Larry?
Yes.
Absolutely. If this is near space junk, and at 40,000 feet it interferes with the possible interferes with air traffic, shouldn't we have a better capability? So General Van Herk of NORAD has been calling for upgraded capability. I think he's going to get it. But yes, you do make a point. They were very proud of themselves for the way they handled letting the assured space surveillance balloon go from west to east across the United States, and then they were mighty quick to do the other things. We'll find out what they are, but if we're going to have this sort of thing in commercial airspace, in civilian airspace, we need to know about it. We need to be able to identify it earlier than this.
Well, I think I'm just going to guess, but I'm going to guess that a whole lot of Americans want to know, is this a Chinese invasion, basically? I mean, they're in our airspace, and we didn't seem to want to do anything about it. I'm speaking of the big balloon, but now all these other things are popping up. Are we being invaded? Is our sovereign territory being invaded, or is it being broken? You know, we talk about that on the southern border with the immigration problem. Now it's like a whole countrywide, nationwide thing. Again, what is up with this? Who is doing this to us?
Well, I have to interject. The southern invasion, again, a totally self-inflicted wound by the Biden campaign, by the Biden transition, and by the Biden administration in the first days. If anybody didn't hear that as an open invitation to come to the southern border, they misunderstood. I don't know if we're being invaded, and if we are, the American people need to know that about these other objects in the sky. But what we do know is that China is not our friend. They are our adversary. We trade with them, and they sell a lot of stuff to us, and we're glad to sell them some items that we manufacture too. But they are our military adversary, and we are not ready to be strong enough in the Pacific to keep them from doing something foolish. And so, you know, I'm a Reagan peace through strength guy, and we need a lot more strength in all of this, whether it's the capabilities General Van Herk has asked for, or what our Marines and Navy need in the Western Pacific. We're not ready yet.
So, okay, having worked for Reagan as a child, I'm the same way. I'm a Reagan peace through strength guy. Same story, as you well know, Senator. But here's the thing. I think everybody wants to know something definitive about this. Now, on the Armed Services Committee, I presume you're going to get briefings. Either will or you have already. But I think people just want to know, all of a sudden, you know, we've gone from 0 to 100 miles an hour. Nothing in the skies, now everything in the skies. Half in and half out. And what exactly, the Wall Street Journal editorial today ended by saying, what the hell's going on up there? I mean, I just think people want to know, what the hell is going on up there? Where does this end, sir? I mean, you're going to have...
You read the Wall Street Journal. So do I. It's what I start with.
I mean, look, it's a great question. I could ask that question more crudely, but I won't, out of respect for you and all the viewers for this show. But really... All right, here we are, day 8 or something. What happens next, Senator Wicker? Maybe I'll ask that.
Well, these last few objects, the 4 objects that they're not yet calling balloons, they happened pretty much over the weekend. I was flying, I was in the air when the second one was shot down, and again, the National Security Advisor did not even choose to begin his briefing about that. He waited till a question was asked. The American people deserve an answer to your very questions, Larry. We're going to get them, and unless it is stamped as classified by the Commander-in-Chief or his chain of command, we're going to get that information back to the American people. The long and short of it is we're not quite where we need to be, or we're not near where we need to be in terms of capability, not only surveillance and interception, but also defending our friends and our way of life and our economy and our right as part of the international community to move about the open seas.
Just last one, Senator. Are the Bidens telling the truth about this stuff? because I watched the first big balloon over Montana and so forth, and I don't think they told anybody the truth. I don't know why it took them a week to let this, get this thing down. We should have either shot it down or captured it and brought it down. I mean, last question. In your judgment, Senator Roger Wicker, are the Bidens telling the truth?
Probably not the whole truth.
Right.
But we will, in a setting where we can ask the penetrating questions, we'll do our best to get to the whole truth. And to the extent it's not classified, we'll let you know. Also got to say this, Larry. I love the people of Montana. There are a lot of good folks there. And I know you wouldn't want us to be careless with their lives. There are places in the Rockies this could have been shot down.
Yes.
Without endangering anybody.
Yes.
But I do love Montanans. I want you to know.
Senator, my saintly wife is from Montana. We were married in Montana. Her kith and kin have been in Montana over a century and a half. I love Montana, but they could have shot it down. You know it. I know it. Senator Daines know it. We all know it. And to this day, I don't know why it wasn't done. Anyway, I got it, John. Senator Roger Wicker, great friend. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Larry.
Hope you'll come back soon. All right.